Hi everybody, welcome to TNT, the Armchair Edition, brought to you by 5 Star Marine, with a bit of editorial assistance there in the background from Daisy. And the power was cut off to some of those border towns housing the scam centres, basically scam cities. Let's just follow up on what happened there. This from council.english.com. Thailand cuts power supplies to Myanmar border towns in effort to curb scam rings. And there we've got the Interior Minister, Anatin Shah Virakun, sort of overseeing the process. And the story says that Thailand yesterday cut off power supplies to areas in Myanmar where scam networks operate, following a public outcry demanding government action to tackle the problem. And by way of background, parts of Myanmar bordering Thailand, including Myawaddy and Takalek, are known as havens for criminal syndicates who have forced hundreds of thousands of people in Southeast Asia and elsewhere into helping run online scams, including false romantic ploys, bogus investment pitches, and illegal gambling schemes. And such scams have stolen tens of billions of dollars from victims around the world, while the people recruited to carry them out are often tricked into taking the jobs under false pretense and trapped into virtual slavery. Covered in Bangkok Post, Myanmar towns powered down but not out. And the story goes, the Thai government yesterday morning cut off the power supply to Myawaddy, Patong and Takalek at the urging of Chinese authorities, who said call scam centre operations were becoming an increasing threat to the safety of Chinese citizens. And Burmese residents in the area had already prepared, as the possibility of a cut-off had been in the news for days. And sources said people in Patong were rushing to buy diesel at service stations, but the price had soared, of course, from 35 baht to 60 baht per litre. An impact was limited on the Chinese-owned casinos and entertainment places because they had their own generators, according to sources. I think the main point here is that it won't stop the scam call centres. It'll slow them down for, a short time. The main thing is that the Thai government doesn't appear to be complicit in the operation of these scam call centres, and at least is doing something. Of course, a lot more needs to be done. As we go to the Bangkok Post, they've been sort of a bit late to the game in the story about this British man who had a few run-ins with Pattaya police. Let's just see how they're covering it and a little bit more information. And their coverage headlined, Chonburi police debunk Britain's Thai holiday hell tale. So late to the game in the coverage of that story, but an interesting perspective in PattayaMail.com. British antics in Pattaya are always irresistible news headlines. And just picking out a few parts of this story, during the past 30 years, Pattaya, in its role as Sin City extraordinaire, has provided many examples for British newspaper headlines and later on internet clickbait. And Thailand and Pattaya are no longer as carefree and anarchic as they once were. Interested to hear your perspective on that particular comment. And this, a review of internet news channels, suggests that about 70 Brits have been arrested in Pattaya over recent months. These have included murderers, child abusers, drug traffickers, as well as immigration defaulters, thieves and drunks. And further down there, it's stuff Brits apparently love to read. But perhaps Pattaya was once the Wild West. It isn't now. And coverage of this story over recent days has brought up a few questions raised in our comments section. For example, are some nationalities responsible for particular headlines? When it comes to the online scams, is it always Chinese? When it comes to mafia operations, is it always the Russians? When it comes to drunken behaviour, is it always Brits and Australians? So I'd be sort of interested in the way you see this typecasting of headlines, or whether it's actually a thing. I mean, I don't think anybody's done any rigorous research on the matter, and maybe it just sort of comes down to a lot of people with their sort of racist typecasting beliefs of certain nationalities. But certainly the Brits have done their bit for making headlines, including this story. And this is covered by EssexLive.news. Essex dad dies after going missing in Bangkok, Thailand, as fundraiser launched to bring his body home. An Essex dad has died after going missing in Thailand for days, with his family now launching a fundraiser to help bring him home. James Sangwine, 33, travelled to the Thai city of Bangkok for a holiday on January the 18th. His partner, Katie, 38, said James, a dad of one from Epping, told her he was going to spend time with a British friend, but she hadn't heard with him since he was heading to a bar to meet friends on January the 20th. Now, it's been confirmed that James had sadly died, and a fundraising page has been set up by his family to raise enough money to bring James's body back to the UK. Absolutely no further information about exactly how he died, and a spokesman for the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office said, "We're supporting the family of a British man who's died in Thailand. We're in contact with the local authorities." So, of course, condolences to his family. Let's hope we find out a little bit more about exactly what happened to him. But literally no shortage of news about foreigners behaving badly. We go to this story in nation Thailand. Uproar over video of foreigners spotted doing job reserved for Thais. And in this particular version of the story, they've blanked out the still shots. Not so in this publication, as we go to Straits Times, a Singaporean publication. And the story goes, a social media photo of a foreign man working as a masseur at a spa in Patong, Phuket, went viral on Feb 5, causing widespread criticism as the job is reserved for Thai nationals only. And the photo was posted on the Facebook page of Phuket Times with a caption saying, "Thais may soon lose their jobs." This foreign man's washing customers' feet at a massage spa, ignoring the law on reserved jobs for Thais. Hundreds of netizens in the comments section slammed the foreigner for breaking the laws, while others called on the Immigration Bureau to investigate the establishment. But somebody pointed out that business operators might not have much choice, as finding Thai workers for certain jobs could be challenging. He said the Thais are choosy about their jobs, take too many leave days and demand high pay. And as a former employer of up to 35 Thais, I can confirm that some of that is true. And last year, the Employment Department caught 721 foreigners doing jobs reserved for Thais, mainly street vendors, hairdressers, drivers and masseurs. And foreigners caught breaking this law can face a maximum fine of 50,000 baht and deportation, while their employers could face up to a 200,000 baht fine, imprisonment for a year, and a 3-year ban from hiring foreigners. Now, it may just be, just looking at that photo, that everybody's got their knickers in a knot over a person washing the feet of a foreigner. It may not be that he's working there, and I don't think there was any evidence in the story or the video that he was in fact an employee. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but Thai is very twitchy about foreigners taking their work. Particularly this job, and it's reported motorcycle taxi drivers demand action against illegal app-based riders in Pattaya area. And the association president of the Public Motorcycle Taxi Association stated that legally registered motorcycle taxi riders have been significantly affected by vehicles operating through ride-hailing apps. He said these vehicles often lack proper registration and public transportation licences, which leads to conflicts that have sometimes escalated into physical altercations. And they're demanding these 4 actions: speed up investigations into illegal ride-hailing services, enforce stricter measures to prevent and penalise unauthorised vehicles operating through apps and notify the platform companies, urgently open official vehicle registration, and provide legal protection and support for registered motorcycle taxi drivers to make sure they have fair opportunities to operate. And he added that officials plan to bring app-based motorcycle taxis into the system, which requires criminal background checks and proper licences. And we were just enjoying a little bit of video from Happy Ending Travel Tours as they rode around Pattaya. So it's certainly been happening in regards to cars with Grab, InDrive and Bolt over recent years, and it now looks like the app ride hailing is moving into the motorcycle world as well, but the old guard putting up a bit of a fight. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with some of the things happening around Thailand. We look forward to your subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.